14th Gwangju Biennale and First Art. The 14th Gwangju Biennale stands out for its organized order, like a well-planned city. Like the Go Stones on the Go board, the participating artists are assigned positions in predestined roles. Some artists show off their skills and creativity within a limited range. So the exhibition frame is solid and the exhibition hall is filled with breath-concealing vitality. The title, Soft and Weak Like Water, hangs on the 14th Gwangbi, that is, Gwangju Biennale. The premise mentioned in Lao-Tzu's Tao-Te Ching, the weakness of water, shows a consistent flow from the exhibition, selection of works and artists, and commentary. However, the concluding remark that even the strongest in the world cannot overcome water sinks into its premise. These are the four sub-concepts of soft and weak like water. Luminous halo is a variety of resistance and solidarity in continuous life. Ancestral voices is the geopolitical and variable connectivity of collective creation and craft works. Transient sovereignty is the cultural advantage of migrants and multicultural societies. And the planetary times is a connecting planetary perspective that goes beyond the boundaries. One, soft and weak water. Issues such as current events, human crises, wars, ethnic cleansing, and oppression can appear in a soft and weak tone. There is no manifesto. There are no words to overturn the violent or current art landscape. There is a passive self-statement, self-explanation that wants one's work recognized and understood. The artists show a persuasive interest in natural history, religion, the spiritual world and ritual, ideology and politics, racism and national identity, and the interaction between humans and nature. These elements, however, are art-oriented. If it is not supported by letters or icons, it is only an explanation or remark by the artist, thus it is not easy to extract the substance. The interest of the artist seems to be extremely personal language, that is, private language. There are many personal and subjective viewpoints or opinions rather than ideas that can be objectively recognized, and in strong messages such as propaganda things. It seems to be a passive or held back opinion. Two, the focal point of the exhibition. In the exhibition hall, the spectator first faces the visual truth and draws a universal consensus on its interpretation. After accepting and evaluating first-hand and indirect information encountered, it reconstructs the dynamic relationship between the artist's work and the world of art. On that basis, consistent assumptions or conclusions are derived. It is not easy to expect to find a facial point at a large-scale exhibition showing transcend boundaries and transcend majors. Moreover, it is also not easy to set a certain direction and expect an integrated perspective from various artists of various works. This may be a common feature of art venues such as biennales. When the spectators face the artist's private and intimate identity appears in visual form, first paying attention to the eye-catching visual display and then to the personal story. However, whether the visual personal connection can influence the overall interpretation of the work is a separate issue. Analyzing the works raises questions about the spirit of the times. What do these works want to show? What is the common claim of works grouped into one category? What keywords will trigger consensus? What is the main thread that can tie all the works together? 14 Gwangbi's showing appearing. What is he aiming for? Three, exhibition history. Trauma, such as tribal ordeal, is connected to communication impression empathy, that is, Einfluss, through direct and indirect channels such as words or writing. However, Objectification and sympathy are more intensified than when exposed to the world in line with the flow of art. In many works, it is neglected or discarded to provide clues to approach the art world while seeking sympathy by deepening in works that precede visual shock. At least, a symbol system that is extremely self-conscious enough to be defined as babbling dialect may be difficult to even search for unless it is directed purpose exploratory. There are works that are diagnosed as passive appearances on the premise of personal or private interest. The self-storage power or aura that is exposed as work seems difficult to expect from this category. If the artist's intention is a message conveyed through a meaning-oriented work, it can be more difficult to grasp. Artist's work commissioned to be exhibited according to the set frame and script is likely to be the first work or the dusty old work. As an artist, justification beyond participation may be difficult. In addition, even if an artist has been requested to be exhibited in anticipation of a new work, a pamphlet that is different from the work in the exhibition can cause greater confusion. Many works are conceived and produced in the background and atmosphere of the artist's birth and growth. For the viewer, prior knowledge of the background can sometimes be a stumbling block. Rather, if there is no background explanation, a large part of the work could be devoted to the revealed formative elements and formative will. Four, the language of the work. Many common sense techniques and phraseologies can be seen or inferred from the naked eye. Also, highly advanced works can be understood only when the process is explained in words or text. However, the product of painful and masochistic production does not seem to guarantee the level or quality repurchase exchange value of the work. The commentary on the works is expected to help an in-depth understanding of the works. However, at the same time, it acts as a spoiler or reigns as a tyrant who deprives the work of its mysterious aura. Sometimes commentary can be a trap if verification theories or claims through works. In many works, the internal fidelity of the work shows the external perfection or the will to globalization. Even so, it may be questioned whether it is meaningful to collect individual works and group them into one category or standard. It can be said that a separate transcendent standard is needed. The artist's message is a necessary condition for the work, but not a sufficient condition. Sometimes, conventional wisdom can be rather self-sufficient as it is visual or reminiscent. Therefore, criticism or theory as a third party that corresponds to the flow of art language dictionary art history can be more persuasive than the artist's babble. 5. Local languages and dialects. Site-specific attempts to connect the site of 14 Gwangbi with his work are glimpsed. However, although Gwangju or Korea's products events nature artificial can give the effect of defacements from the point of view of Koreans, it can be difficult to obtain objective artistic sympathy. In many works, the unfamiliar local language, or vernacular language, is fabricated, without filtering or as a representation concept, signified. These languages, which are spitted out, without being conscious of sympathy through commentary, sometimes form a third language, or a third art school, that has nothing to do with the context of art history. Regions are not meaningfully packaged for artists. The first art circle in a country, or the so-called institutional circle, or gallery or salon art, can be just a justification to be introduced in a guidebook. For artists, this artificial classification tends to be regarded as an act of catering. Inferring from the artist's remarks, despite the various interests, the works appear in an aspect that follows one. It is possible to understand, but access to the artist's intention through remarks is smooth. But it is not enough to reach a sufficient understanding, and a future-oriented diagnosis awaits a more difficult situation. The birth in connection with the activities of the artists is diverse and extensive. Regions and countries are sporadic. Artists and works whose artistic backgrounds are not specified are tied to the common point that they do not have anything in common. For instance, it deserves to be called the World School, that is, École du Monde. Globalization of artworks. If inductively reclassified the classified works, the classification standard presented in the 14 Gwangbi is seemingly an excellent standard. However, when reclassifying works according to that standard, it is difficult to come up with a future-oriented proposition that the third art can be an alternative to the first art. However, the lion's roar toward globalization can be hard to hear in the 14th Gwangbi. It would be difficult to expect revolutionary, destructive, reformist, future-oriented voices from the works or remarks of the artists. It may be because the artist was invited and the approximate radius of arrival of the work was presented without considering such a result in the first place. Rather, mediums that have traditionally been normative or classically accepted in world art do not occupy a large part of the total works. Even if there is no certainty or alternative, it seems that breaking the mold, the attitude of breaking and seeing, is being admired as the spirit of the times, that is, zeitgeist equals esprit de temps. There is a more fundamental question. Can 14 Gwangbi secure self-reliance and self-sufficiency as driving force? Furthermore, does it have sufficient self-sustainability as a third art? So, does it show enough self-sustaining ability to replace the first art? Does it have enough potential to replace the first art? If so, what are the typical features? Which works and groups of works can serve as a stepping stone to reach a conclusion inductively? If not, what is the basis for that claim? Collective individuality as a conclusion drawn from the works? What is the accumulated potential to challenge the first art? 2023